When a user is using an Android app, they might at times close it to answer a call or open an entirely different application. For example, someone might be using one application and quickly open Google Chrome to search for a term. Each time a user navigates out of an app, the activity transitions through different stages in its life cycle. When the user re-enters an activity, the appropriate lifecycle callback method is called. Once this is called, you can specify what happens when it's called. So once the user leaves an application and the callback is called, in the callback, you can specify what should be done. For example, the YouTube mobile app pauses a video once you close it and switch to another app. There are some callback methods which we will cover here, starting with onCreate. OnCreate is called first when the system creates an activity. This is where you will normally put your startup logic and initializations. Normally, you will see set content view here for the activity. You also initialize your views here. OnCreate is the main callback you would be working with as you learn Android. OnStart is called when the app prepares for the activity to enter the foreground. The OnStart method completes in a very short time, finishes, and the activity enters the resume state. So it doesn't remain in OnStart for quite a while. When OnResume is called, the activity is now in the foreground and ready for user interaction. Normally, this is a nice place to put the animation code since the UI is ready and visible to the user. By UI, I mean user interface. The app stays in this state until the app is no longer in focus. You might ask, what do I mean by no longer in focus? So events such as receiving a new phone call or navigating to another app could take the current app away from focus. When these interruptions occur, the activity enters the paused state and the system invokes the onPause callback. After some time, the user might return back to the app to continue using it. The activity will return to the resume state from the paused state, and the system once again calls onResume. OnPause is called when the activity is about to go into the background and has stopped interacting with the user. This can happen when another activity or dialogue is launched in front of the current activity. According to the official documentation, we use onPause to pause or adjust operations that should not continue while the activity is in the paused state. Normally, these operations are expected to resume shortly when the user returns back to the application. When your activity is no longer visible to the user, it has entered the stopped state, and the system invokes the OnStop callback. The system may call OnStop when the activity has finished running and is about to be terminated. From the stopped state, the activity either comes back to interact with the user, or the activity is finished running and goes away forever. Just kidding. If the activity comes back, the system invokes onRestart. If the activity is finished running, the system calls onDestroy. OnDestroy is called before the activity is destroyed. This is invoked if the activity is finishing. Now, this is commonly due to you, the developer, calling finish in the activity, or when the system is temporarily destroying an activity due to a configuration change. Don't worry, we will talk more on configuration changes in coming lessons. Now, this is just the overview of Activity Lifecycle. In the next lesson, I'll show you a practical example to help you understand how these callbacks actually operate.